This week on Jerusalem Dateline, plus the White House invites evangelicals to discuss the upcoming Middle East peace plan. And two rare discoveries from the ancient city of David bring people from the Bible to life. All this and more this week on Jerusalem Dateline. Zachary Baumel, a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen, went missing during the 1982 Lebanon War. Baumel was one of three Israelis missing from the Battle of Sultan Yaqub, fought between Israel and Syria. The other two are still missing.
I remember Yonah, Zachary's father, well. I remember his pain when he spoke about his son, his yearnings, his longings. He traveled the entire world to track any piece of information on his missing son. Many times Yonah told me in tears that he had one wish, to find Zachary before he himself passed away. Unfortunately, Yonah passed away a decade ago, and he didn't live to be with us in this moving moment.
Born in Brooklyn, New York, Baumel had immigrated to Israel and served in the IDF. In his last communication with his family, he wrote, "Don't worry, everything's okay, but it seems I will not be coming home anytime soon." Well, one of the first things a new Israeli government will have to deal with is the rollout of President Trump's peace plan. And evangelicals are joining Trump on the front lines as he crafts his plan for peace in the Middle East. While faith leaders are urging the White House to support Israel, they also call for help and prayer for the Palestinians. CBN's White House correspondent Ben Kennedy brings us this story from Washington.
We were stunned by that.
Stunned that the White House wanted input from leaders like Pastor Jack Graham on Middle East peace.
We talked about, of course, the sovereignty of Israel, that's very important for Christians, and particular Bible-believing Christians, that Israel has a right to exist and Jerusalem as its capital.
In the meeting that included Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner, Graham and others urged the security of Israel must be a priority.
Making sure that Israel is safe. As long as people keep throwing bombs at Israel, it's going to be difficult to have peace. So everybody understands that. But at the same time, we talked about partnerships with Arab countries and governments that could be partners, and economic development, I think, will be a part of the plan.
Another attendee, Pastor Jensen Franklin, agrees. Do you think this plan could actually stop the violence along the Gaza border?
I believe there's a possibility. There's something that is working, and people like Jared Kushner and Jason Greenblatt and others are working diligently trying to find some middle ground.
The middle ground could include a two-state solution. The challenge lies with the Palestinian Authority, who has refused to speak with the White House since President Trump recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. What needs to be in this plan to get the Palestinian Authority to the table to even talk?
Opportunity. Everyone needs to live with hope. And so many Palestinian people are living without hope.
God cares and loves the Palestinians and cares about them, and so do we in the evangelical community. But we cannot allow parts of Israel that serve so greatly to protect and secure the people of Israel to be given away.
Coming up, a look at one of Israel's newest political parties and what makes it so unique. One of the parties running in this year's election is called the Bible Bloc Party. I spoke with its founder, Avi Lipkin, in our studio. Well, Avi, thanks for joining us here on Jerusalem Dateline.
Thanks for having me again.
So you have a new party called the Bible Bloc Party. Tell us what that is.
Okay, well, firstly, the name in Hebrew is Gush HaTanachi. Now, in Hebrew, there is no word for Bible. We have the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, and then we have the Brit Chadashah, which is the New Testament. I came to a conclusion. I've been in this country 50 years. As you know, I've been speaking in Christian churches all over the world
for decades,
for 28 years. Yeah. And as I see the demography changing in Israel, I'm seeing a growth in a Christian population in Israel, which has absolutely no representation in our Knesset. Our Knesset is our parliament or our Congress. Having been born in the United States, raised on the lap of the American Revolution, I'm a sincere believer in no taxation without representation. Now, these Christians who live in Israel are citizens. They pay taxes, they vote, they serve in the army, they're married to us, and they have no representation. And as also a believer in Judeo-Christian Western civilization and democracy values, I would like to bring that kind of thinking to Israel, the thinking that made America great, at least until the last few decades. I think Israel has a great future, which will include many more Jews and Christians who will be coming home to Israel very soon as a result of terrorist jihad. Yeah.
So you see this aliyah coming back here to Israel. And what kind of response have you had from Christians about this new party?
Well, to be honest with you, a lot of Christians say, well, it's a wonderful idea, but it's very hard for us to believe that such a thing could actually happen. And that my son even said to me, Daddy, you're a prophet, but you're 300 years before your time. And I said to my son, no, son, 3 years before my time, which means tomorrow, mañana. And what we do have today is that 8% of our population is Christian or non-Jewish, according to the rabbis. 8% translates into 8 or 9 members of Knesset, and there are no Christian members of Knesset yet. The Muslims have 10 members of Knesset. They represent their constituency. The Christians are a constituency, and they have no representation. I wanted to add also that there are 3 million Jews who have lived in Christian countries who I think would be a potential constituency for this party because they want to bring this country into the Western civilization sphere. As you probably know, half of the Knesset is towards nationalism and socialism, secular, and half is from the Islamic world. There is no American Western civilization democracy, and I'm trying to bring that here.
Right. We have about a minute left, Avi. Tell us the bottom line. What do you want people to take away from this new Bible Block Party?
Well, I think the most important word is love. Sounds familiar? Reconciliation between Jews and Christians. I think that God has sent this fanatic terrorist threat to unite the Jews and the Christians from a common threat, which is threatening our civilization all over the world, not just in Israel, but Israel is on the front.
Well, Avi, much success to you on April 9th at the elections.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to say also that I've been in the churches 28 years. I've been campaigning 2.5 months in Israel. So the election campaign actually continues into the direction of the new elections, which will be maximum in 4 years, maybe again in 3 months.
That's right. Well, come back and tell us about that when during the next election as well.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Avi. Up next, an historic visit by evangelical leaders to the Muslim nation of Azerbaijan. The Shiite Muslim majority country of Azerbaijan recently invited more than a dozen evangelical pastors on an official visit to the nation. But why would the president be interested in evangelical Christians? CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl takes a look.
Azerbaijan is located on the Caspian Sea, bounded on the north by Russia and the south by Iran. But this former Soviet republic, where Shiite and Sunni Muslims intermarry and Christians and Jews live freely, believes that tolerance is the way to go.
Dialogue is very important during this time because in different parts of the world, we are witnessing lots of conflicts and wars, which makes it necessary for establishing dialogue.
Government Minister Mubaraz Gurbanli hosted the group of 15 evangelical leaders and a rabbi.
We are part of the Muslim countries, but despite this fact, we are also home for 3 different religions. That's the importance of this event.
Gurbanli told CBN News his country is leading this dialogue because of its history. Azerbaijan hosted many religions over the centuries, including Judaism and Christianity, before Islam arrived 800 years ago.
That's why history gives us a good opportunity to bring up the ideas of tolerance and mutual understanding.
It started when Azeri President Ilham Aliyev invited American Rabbi Mark Schneier to bring evangelical leaders to his country. Schneier, who has been working to improve Jewish-Muslim relations for 15 years, teamed up with Robert Stearns to create a better understanding between Christians and Muslims. Going to Azerbaijan was the natural first step.
There are 57 Muslim nations. Azerbaijan has led the effort in terms of presenting a more progressive, a more centrist, a more inclusive, a more welcoming Islam that is supportive of the State of Israel.
I believe it's an extraordinary moment in the kingdom of God where God is moving behind the scenes in ways that we can't imagine.
The group met in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan. Their first stop was the state cemetery and the Alley of Martyrs, where civilians massacred in a Soviet crackdown in 1990 are buried.
Schneier's group was treated like royalty in this Muslim-majority country. Azeris say they're very proud of their nation, and one man told us the thing he likes best about his homeland is that they love hosting guests.
The Grand Mufti of the Caucasus region told the group establishing relationships is not based on religion, but on common humanity. He later hosted the group for dinner at his palace.
What really has surprised me the most is the level of communication, relationship, and it seems like genuine friendship between the various major faiths that are in this country. You just don't see that. Even in the United States, we seem to have a lot of intolerance right now.
It's one of the places that I think are really leading the way by example of what coexistence and cultural harmony, but also religious tolerance looks like.
Schneier said he believes this is a first step toward reconciliation between Muslims and evangelicals. Stearns called it an opportunity for the kingdom.
This could be a moment of wonderful blessing for Azerbaijan, so I'm inviting the church, the Christian church worldwide, to pray with me that this is an hour for the glory of the Lord to come to this nation.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Baku, Azerbaijan.
Still ahead, new discoveries from King David's capital bring people from the Bible to life. Israeli archaeologists have made two rare discoveries in the city of David, pointing to people mentioned in the Bible. I went down there to take a look and found out what makes these new finds so special. The discoveries came from here, the Givati excavation. It's part of the ancient city of David, where King David set up his capital 3,000 years ago. Israeli archaeologists made the discoveries in this structure, where they found evidence of a big fire they believe dates back to 586 BC, when the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem. Here you can still see the ash from the fire. The discoveries are an ancient bulla and a seal.
This is the bulla. A bulla is actually a tiny piece of clay that was attached to letters or jars in order to make sure that no one opened them without noticing.
The bulla bore a special name.
And this one says, to Natan Melech, the servant of the king. LeNatan Melech, Eved HaMelech. Now, the name Natan Melech is known from the Bible, from the book of Kings.
While archaeologists can't say for certain this Natan Melech is the one mentioned in the Bible, Dr. Gerbevich from Hebrew University says the evidence is compelling.
First, the name Natan Melech, which is rare. Second, the period. We're talking about the mid-7th century BCE, King Josiah. And third, the fact that we have the title. So Natan Melech was someone who was close to the king.
For the archaeologists, the finds are like touching Jerusalem's history.
This is very impressive for me, not only because of the history, because this is actually a snapshot for the history that happened here 2,600 years ago.
These discoveries shed more light on ancient Jerusalem and paint a more complete picture of King David's city. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Givati excavation, the city of David. It was an amazing experience to see up close and personal the evidence of the destruction of Jerusalem by the Babylonians in 586 BC. It was like touching history, and one more sign of the connection of the Jewish people to their ancient capital. Well, that's all for this edition. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.